Hypothermia is a serious medical emergency that occurs when body temperature drops below 95 degrees Fahrenheit. It happens when the body loses heat faster than it can produce it, most often due to cold exposure, wet clothing, or poor insulation. You don't need extreme cold for hypothermia to develop, as damp and wet clothes or sweat can rapidly drain body heat. Winds can also make this danger worse by accelerating heat loss from exposed skin, in such cases as wind chill. Early symptoms include intense shivering, cold hands and feet, pale skin, confusion, clumsiness, slurred speech, and poor judgment. People may also appear unusually tired or slow to react. As hypothermia worsens, shivering may stop altogether, which is a critical red flag. Muscles can stiffen, breathing and heart rate can slow, and weakness becomes severe. Without treatment, a person can lose consciousness, and the situation can quickly turn life-threatening. If you suspect hypothermia, call 911 immediately. Move the person to a warm, dry place and remove wet clothing as soon as possible. Wrap them in dry layers and blankets, focusing on warming the chest, neck, head, and groin area. And remember, if you feel cold, wet, or confused outside, that's not just you being uncomfortable. It could be the first sign your body is in real danger.